Welcome to the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Rudolph, and this is episode 99 featuring the one and only Jessie Wray, who is going to be joining us very shortly, brought to you by the one and only, the legendary Black Belt Magazine. So as we always start off the show, we're going to start off with a little bit of housekeeping. We'll do some sport karate news this week. Pretty light news week for sport karate. There's been a lot of discussions going on about the Kage Showdown coming up at Battle of Atlanta, but we covered that last week. So we will cover a little bit of sport karate news. We do have some winners of last week's hashtag JRP challenge who we're going to be highlighting. There's 3 winners that we're going to highlight on the show tonight. Make sure you stay tuned until the end of tonight's show so that you can hear what the next challenge is and you have a chance to be featured here on the Black Belt Magazine page on the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. So without further ado, we're going to dive into some of the news this week. Couple of really quick things. Number one, we got Ross Levine, sport karate legend, Black Belt Magazine. We got him in the Hall of Fame, right? Yeah, we did. But anyway, so Ross Levine, he's going to be fighting for Karate Combat, and I'm super excited for that. It's the season 4 premiere coming up tomorrow night. So make sure you guys tune in. If you love sport karate, you got to be cheering on Ross Levine to go get that win. I saw on social media there was maybe a little bit of bad blood with his opponent. His opponent maybe disrespected him a little bit. So any sport karate fans should be rooting for Ross to win that. So Ross, you got my support, man, and I'll be tuning in to watch that fight. We'll be covering it for Black Belt Magazine. In other news in sport karate this week, and this is something we announced on the show last week, but this is just another heads up. So the competitive edge camp at the Battle of Atlanta that's developed a little bit of a history now over the years at the event, led by myself, Reed, and Cole Presley. We've had several guest instructors over the year, Sammy Smith, Mackenzie Emery, Jake Presley's always helping out, and of course our team competitive edge team members. But this year we're flipping the script a little bit. We're going to have some new hosts of the camp. I'm going to make sure I read everybody so I don't forget, because it is a star-studded roster of instructors. Team Paul Mitchells, Jake Presley, Dawson Holt, Esteban Tremblay, and Ben Jones. Dawson, Esteban, and Ben, all alumni of Team Competitive Edge. Jake Presley, now a fellow head coach of Team Competitive Edge, alongside Reed Cole and I. They are going to be your instructors, and special guest instructor Gabrielle Dunn is going to be teaching some traditional kata at the camp. So you don't want to miss that coming up at the Battle of Atlanta. And that'll do it for Sport Karate News this week. Make sure you guys go and support Ross Levine at Karate Combat tomorrow night. And then make sure you check out the Competitive Edge Camp at the Battle of Atlanta. One more little bit of news is that right now, as I'm recording this podcast, my very own 17-time world champion Boston Celtics are playing against the Bucks in Game 6, trying to avoid elimination. I got Tatum dropping about 35, 10, and 7 tonight. So you guys watch. It'll happen. There will be a Game 7. Celtics are going to the finals this year. Mark my words. And if I'm lying in 3 hours, then you guys can just forget that I opened the show that way. But anyway, we're back to Karate Talk, and we are going to do a quick shout-out for this week's winners of the hashtag JRP Challenge. The challenge from last week was to post some content of you doing anything from the traditional martial arts world. Obviously, this being a sport karate show, we got some traditional competitors that posted some videos of them in action and competition. So I'm going to do a screen share real quick and give them a shout out. So forgive me while I click around some here. And I don't know who I'm pulling up first, but I'm just clicking the first Facebook tab. So we got Nolan Grunwald with a little 25-second clip here. He goes back-to-back, featured on the show for the hashtag JRP Challenge. He's showing off his traditional bow at the Pan American Internationals runoffs. Nolan's a student of mine. I'm super proud of him. He's been progressing really, really quickly. And so there's a nice little section of his traditional bow form. And we're going to go ahead and switch up the tabs here so that we can showcase another one of our 3 winners. So I'm going to hit that share button again, share screen, Chrome. Here's another one. Looks like this one is going to be Caleb the Hype Boyle. So we're going to check him out. Hit that play button. He's giving us 11 seconds. Looks like a real traditional bow form here. He's got that inch-thick bow showing off some kabuto. A little bit of a faster pace, more contemporary style. Caleb, somebody who kind of introduced himself to the sport karate community over the course of the pandemic, competing in a lot of online events. So Caleb, thank you very much for joining in on this challenge, my man. And then that leaves last, but certainly not least, we got a pretty unique submission for this last one and our last winner of the hashtag JRP Challenge this week. We've got Dax Howland showing off the GTMA traditional bow form, which I believe is an adaptation of the ATA traditional bow form. Obviously, it being kind of a Taekwondo-inspired style of bow, which is rather uncommon. It's got a unique look to it. Most of you who know Dax know him for his bow tricks that he does in the CMX divisions because he's capable of doing some crazy stuff. But it's cool here to see him showing some like true traditional. Like this comes back to his style. This isn't what we see in a lot of NASCA competition and open circuit competition, where people just kind of make up their own forms that consist of traditional movements, but that is like an actual traditional routine that's been passed down for generations. So cool to see Dax showing off that skill set as well. And so that will do it for the hashtag JRP Challenge winners this week. Once again, stay tuned until the end of tonight's episode to hear what the challenge is for next week, for a chance for you to be featured on the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. And by the way, this is episode 99, which means that coming up next, we got episode 100. We got big things planned for episode 100. I can't announce it yet. We're still finalizing some of the details. But for tonight, we're going to focus on episode 99. And it is time, without further ado, I'm going to bring in the man, the myth, the legend, the founder of the Virtual Fight Tour, head coach of Team Next Level. He was a great point fighter himself in his own competitive career. We're going to get into all of this, and he's going to tell you all of his accolades and all the great projects he's got going. Truly a legend in the sport karate community. Welcome to the Jackson Rudolph Podcast, Mr. Jessie Wray. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself a little bit, sir.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure being on the show. I'm a big fan of it. I'm always tuning in, dropping some comments, and finally, feel special that you're having me on, man.
Well, thank you very much. And again, thank you for taking the time, and we appreciate your support. I love it when I see people chiming in the comments. And anybody tuning in right now as we're going through some of these topics, if any questions pop up, drop those questions down in the comments below. And if we've got time, we'll try to get to those. So, Jessie, I want to start with the question that I ask everybody, because in the sport karate community, we come from so many different backgrounds. Take us back for you. How did this whole martial arts journey begin?
My journey was unique. I used to go to a community center, a local community center where I grew up at. And I used to go with my sister who was playing basketball at the time, girls basketball. And when she was playing basketball, I would go in the other room and watch the karate class. So the instructor noticed me, and one day he asked me, "Do you want to join?" And right away I was like, wow, like, yes. They said, "Bring a note from your mother with permission to join." And it was that simple. And I bought a note, and that's how it all started.
So early on, were you all about it? Did it kind of have to grow on you? I mean, tell us about those early years.
All right. Well, first, back like in the 80s, I don't know if you know the history, but like karate was such a big thing. Everything was Bruce Lee. Everything was the Chinese movies. Five Deadly Venoms, and those every Sunday those would come on. So the culture was people were walking around with like Chinese slippers and stuff like these are non-karate people. These are just people from movies or whatever. So that's how it was, and that's what really got my first attention to martial arts. Then once I joined, I bought the note from my mother, joined the class. I remember I had on like pants, a turtleneck, sweater, no uniform. I had a hole under my shirt. Never forget. And then first day, the instructor put me to spar. I mean, the first day, the kids were sparring already, and my sensei put me to spar. Master Michael Dean, shout out to him. He put me up to spar, and I was watching at first, and then when he put me up, I hit the kid, and the kid dropped, whatever. From then, I already knew, like, this, I'm in love with this. Love at first sight.
That's awesome. I love that. And so where did competition come in, right? Like day one, you're already like taking people out. So when did you step into the ring the first time? How did that start?
So I was about 7. I probably didn't compete till I was maybe probably about 8. I want to say. And my first tournament, lost, like it was over like this quick. Went to a local tournament, um, and I I lost my first couple tournaments, and I was heartbroken, man. I remember the first one I dropped a couple tears, whatever, because I wanted to win. But I just went back and trained hard, man. Never gave up on it.
That's awesome. And that's like so many, I think, great competitors have that moment when they go to their first few tournaments and they don't do very well. And then whether it's tears or like the sad car ride home or whatever, there's always like that moment that motivates you to like go on from there. And that's like, especially for kids tuning in, that's how most of us start. You know what I mean? Like I went to my first NASCA tournament and like my first NASCA tournament would have been Bluegrass Nationals 2006. And Bluegrass Nationals ain't even around anymore, right? And I did forms, weapons, and fighting. Yes, I did fight back then. And but I remember like weapons division, like I got like almost, if not dead last, like almost dead last. And then I'll never forget, there was this kid. I fought for maybe a year on NASCA in the underbelts. And there was this kid that I couldn't even like score on him, right? His name was Rogelio Gonzalez. The dude hit me with like spin hook kicks all day long. I would blink it would be over. And I also had no idea what I was doing, right? I would grow to love point fighting. Back then, I didn't really like it because I was always getting beat up. But I grew to love it as I became a fan of the sport.
Being you said that, I did forms, weapon, and fighting myself. Mm-hmm. Yes. I guess who was in my divisions when I was doing NASCAR? John Valera. Mike Chatteratterbuck. Those are some notable names that these guys was in my, and Mike Chat was fighting. Mm-hmm. Mike Chat was fighting.
I've heard the stories on the team of like sometimes Mike Chat having to come in for team fights with Paul Mitchell. It's crazy.
I fought John Valera on stage in juniors for short and tall at Bluegrass. That was one of my favorite tournaments.
That's cool. That's cool. Hey, all of our sport karate history buffs, we can get footage of Jessie Wray versus John Valera fighting on stage. That'd be crazy.
I think my instructor had that tape. Seriously. Yeah.
Ooh, we gotta find that.
Yeah, I'll find it. Yep.
So I want to give you a chance to brag on yourself a little bit here because you were a very, very good point fighter. And of course, you can talk about forms and weapons here too. But what were some of like your favorite moments in your career as a competitor? Biggest wins, stuff like that.
Again, Kentucky Bluegrass was always one of my favorites. Fighting John Valera, like that was my first time like experience a stage as a junior. That's why I feel like I remember those moments. So that's why I feel like with VFT and stuff, we're not getting into that now, but highlighting the competitors, I remember that feeling, and that was special to me. So that was one of my favorites. Empire State Nationals was always a good event for me. DC, winning grands there, U.S. Open. A lot of those tournaments like that. Oh, Battle of Atlanta. Battle of Atlanta was my tournament, man. That was the one that I always got the dub at. So there's multiple overalls and grands there at the Battle of Atlanta.
And that's a great tournament to make your tournament, right? I mean, that is one of the all-time tournaments.
Yeah. I think also it was always something different about it. Like we were fighting in a Georgia Dome. So where the Falcons were playing at, we were fighting there. And it was like a real huge tournament. There was just so many things about it. Atlanta experience, the culture down there, that was fun. So yeah, that was one of my favorites also. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite wins.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of my favorite wins. And I actually got featured in Black Belt Magazine. Yep.
That's awesome. So one of the things, we bring up Black Belt Magazine. I know that our audience loves this. And when I go back and I study the history and watch the tape, for me, a lot of times when you watch the tape, you don't know who won what title or whatever. You just see the fights, right? And so what becomes so interesting is the matchups, right? So in your career, especially in that adult division, fighting in the finals of the Georgia Dome, who was it, or maybe it's 2 or 3 people, who were some of like your biggest rivals in that era? Maybe they were other great fighters of the era. Maybe they were just tough matchups for you in particular. Who were some of those guys that you always trained the most for?
All right, so my whole career, my whole 20s, in my 20s, I fought as a middleweight. It was like 164 to 175, something like that. Then it switched to 170 to 179. All right. Early, I had to get through always like a guy named Johnny Guante, Joseph Rivera. He was on Team Metro with Hector Santiago. What's my man's name? Mike Pombero, and those were the top right there. Later on, it became Preston Clemens. That was towards like the later years or whatever when he came up to juniors or whatever. But yeah, man, Reggie Perry. And then in the Grands, I had to see KA, the Twins. Listen, man, I was training. It was like not one particular person I was training for, but there was multiple people at the time.
I mean, that's what was so great about point fighting in that era is it was so deep. Like there were so many matchups and everybody had to beat everybody. I mean, it was, and many people would call it the golden age of point fighting just because of how deep it went and how all the matchups turned out.
There was a point where like you could win 3 or 4 fights and you still wouldn't place at all. 3 or 4 fights. Now you win 3 or 4 fights, you got the grand, you got the first. But yeah, man, it was 3 or 4 fights and you wouldn't even place. It was deep division.
Right. So I want to shift from your competitive career and talk a little bit now about you as a coach, which is what most people know you for in this current era of sport karate. And I want to start by going even beyond coaching and into this more broad category of mentorship, right? Because I've heard the stories and I want to hear it from you. Some of the work that you've done in the New York community, helping kind of shape young men into role models. And I just want you to tell a little bit about that part of your life, because that's something I feel like maybe more important than anything else we talk about in this show. That's one of the things I respect most about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me just fill in a little gap real quick. So I went from the last year I probably competed in the 18 plus. It was probably like 2000, early 2003, 2002. Then I got into a major car accident. Talking about helicopter lifted to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 months. 2 people died in this accident. That's the thing is a lot of people don't know about me. I was in a major car accident. And I went from a regular hospital, then I had to go to a rehab hospital where they had to kind of like get me back, show me how to move around the house, bathroom, and all of that stuff like that. And then I went to outpatient for probably over a year. I mean, broken up, beat up, broke my back, arms, all kind of surgeries. So yeah, I was beat up, dude. Then I came back in 2004, and I was home. I had so much time on my hand. I started like planning to open a school, and also planning to do a tournament. And then that's when the birth of the King of New York was born. All right, King of New York was born in 2004. I was home. I was out of accident. Didn't have no school, but that's when it was born. And then I came back to competition probably about 05, or the end of 04, 05, and I just wrapped my arm up. I was severely damaged, and I did one competition because my guys were so hard on me, and in training, like they could not see that this new Jesse was hurt. He's not the same. They was like, yo, come on, stop making excuses. So that push from my squad, like my brothers, Kodak, Sheldon Ray, and everybody that was on my squad, in the house or whatever at that time, Jotty, all these guys helped nurse me get back to competition. And then I went on a rampant 30 to 39 career, and then went back down to 18. So I just want to fill that in real quick. All right, but
thank you for that. That's sharing that first of all. Thank you, because I know that's a tough story to tell with
oh man, yeah,
an incredible comeback, right? So thank
Yes.
you for sharing that. That's a huge part of your story.
Yes, sir. So the mentorship. So one of the most public ones is Jotty. I met Jotty one day and at a tournament, and we spoke, and he got recommended. Someone told him to come see me or Aki. I think it was my man Gene told him to go check me or Aki to train with, because Gene was going on to do things to further his career. And from that, Jotty came. He asked me one day, "Yo, where do you train at?" And I told him where I train at. Remember, I'm in one of the roughest neighborhoods in the Bronx. And he asked where I train and where I can train. When I told him where I train, he went to Aki because he knows the neighborhood. He knows the neighborhood. But he ended up coming to me, and we got together, and I tried to encourage him as much as possible. He was like a big time kicker at that time, and so you need some hands. And then we worked on his hands. Worked on his hands, and a lot of people at the time, again, they were questioning, why are you working with this dude? They had a lot of bad things to say about him, but y'all seen the potential in him. Like I never seen. At this time, it was Jesse and Frank Jones. That was my schoolmate. My schoolmate Frank Jones, he had to move upstate and stuff like that. So I was by myself. I was still training. I was still self-motivated. But Jotty was like a fresh of breath air. All right, new air. He I said that I'm crazy. A breath of fresh air. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I was waiting to see if you
tongue twister, man. Tongue twister. So yeah, Jotty was. It was like I really never came across somebody so eager to learn and so motivated that will meet me anytime and any place that I tell him to meet. And then so that's how me and his connection started. And from there we were inseparable, and we kept training, kept working, and meeting up in the mornings, taking the train. You heard the stories from him, man. But and that's how me and him started. And he took the torch and ran and took it to another level. As far as everybody else, like I got the James, Poor, all these guys were growing up in my neighborhood, local, and they took karate at the center I was in. So we helped them out and stuff like that. They were our students, and they just stuck with us. Those guys are like family.
That's awesome.
What was the other question within that question? I just want to make sure.
Well, we were just talking about your mentorship work in general, and I think you bring a perfect segue up to start talking about the next level camp and the talent that you guys have been able to produce. I mean, just within the past year, Warrior Cup champion Darren D-Stacks Payne, right? Several times now I've seen Tyson and James Poor go to the finals of the lightweight and then just flip a coin to see which one of them is technically the champion, right?
Right.
The amount of talent, and Anthony Marrix now in the 30 plus, and we're going to talk about each of those individuals. But in a general sense, what's your secret sauce? What do you feel like has allowed so many people from this next level system to rise to this occasion and have such success?
All right. So first, let me just go back a little again. I give it up how my instructor gave it up to me. I was one of those kids. Probably didn't have money all the time for tournaments. My instructor put up sometimes a lot of money for me to travel. And he always created a family atmosphere. And, where I came from, there's two streets you could go on. You could go left or go right. Every single friend that I grew up with either been to jail, that got into drugs and things of that nature or whatever. I always, through the karate, stayed disciplined and was focused on my training, and my instructor instilled a lot of those habits in me. He didn't drink or whatever, smoke. I don't drink. I don't smoke. So a lot of those being a positive role model, I feel that it helped me to who I am today because I had a positive role model, and it was my karate instructor. So I try to provide that for all the guys that you just named, and try to make sure that I give them an opportunity that they may have not had, like I didn't have, if it wasn't for instructors or positive role models in our life. So I just give it up how I got it in that retrospect. But the formula for these guys is I basically run a system, and the system reproduces itself. There's so many guys that people don't see that will look at it and be like, oh wow, when you're gonna get this guy out, or when you're gonna get that guy out, or this girl out. I make sure one thing that I do that I don't think everybody else does, I make sure that my guys get online and work out with the rest of the students sometimes so they can feed off of them, off of their energy, off of their passion, and kind of like a competitiveness with them. One day aspire to be in front line where those guys are. I think that's very important. One of the little ingredients in the special sauce. And even today, like today, Darren, Tyson, you guys that's all famous and on sports karate circuit, you guys, they're online with Joe Blow and John Doe. Right.
That's awesome. I love that. And I think it keeps you humble, it keeps you focused, it keeps you disciplined. And I think that it perfectly explains like how not only are these guys all great competitors, but I mean, you know, I'm sure that you'll go into this as we talk about each of the individuals, but I mean, the character of all these guys is outstanding. You know what I mean? They're excellent role models for all of these young people in the sport karate community, not just, you know, within y'all's system, but far reaching, right? To literally anybody who experiences sport karate, if they're wearing a next level uniform, they're probably somebody that you could look up to, right? And now I want to single out a few of them, and as we've already singled out a few, right? But I want to give you the opportunity to just talk both about the person they are, but also give us some X's and O's, right? Give us some what makes them a great fighter. So first one, Anthony Marrix.
Anthony Marrix is a finesse guy. He's a heavyweight in size, but he is a finesse guy. He's not considered a bruiser or a pounder. He attacks from different angles. He uses his footwork. You know, Anthony was a light middleweight for a lot of his career, and then you know, of course, he, you know, as years go on, you put on weight. But yeah, Anthony is that finesse guy that he again attacks from different angles and light on his feet. He got light feet for a big guy.
Yeah, and you can see it when he fights for sure. And then now peel the curtain back some. Anthony Marrix, the guy, not just the fighter.
Anthony Marrix, the guy, man. Well, one thing everybody knows about him. He's a colorful guy. He likes dressing. He likes attention. He comes into the building. You know, he got a mink jacket. You know, glasses and you know stuff like that. But Anthony's a comedian, man. Like, there's not one person that he can hear that he can't imitate. Like, he has us laughing all day, every day. Is one of the funniest guys. He's a DJ. He could dance. He's a hype man. He's one of the coolest guys that you'll probably meet.
That's awesome. And that's exactly what we're looking for. That's perfect. So now, next on the list.
He's hilarious, man. Hilarious.
So I think we lagged out a little bit there. But next on the list, James Poore.
James Poore. A lot of people don't know. Well, James been with me the longest out of all of them. Anthony came to me at 7, then he disappeared, and then he came back. James was about 6 years old when he started karate or whatever. James was a lot of stuff. Are we talking about the fighter or the character or the
both,
person?
Whichever order you want, but both.
Okay, I'm gonna go in this part first. James was a famous dancer. Like if somebody could pull it up, I ain't gonna tell you the name, but he got over like 1 million views on on YouTube. And a lot of his crew that was he was dancing with at the time are were celebrities or in Japan teaching dance or whatever. Like James was used to do dance battles and everything. Like James was a serious dancer.
I
A
never
lot of
knew
people
that.
don't know that.
We got to get him on the show just to talk about that. That's awesome.
Oh my God, hilarious. But James, the karate guy, man, he's one of the most passionate person that you're probably to meet, man. And sometimes he wears it on his sleeves. You know, you'll see him up in somebody's face arguing with them, but it's no malice with it, man. He's just so passionate. He's definitely gonna hold his teammates accountable. I love the leadership role that he has stepped into since the young gentlemen Tyson and Darren have stepped up or whatever. He's a pure leader, and he's doing wonderful things. Right now, he's doing something with Kids for Cancer. We got a bunch of seminars going on in different parts of the state. This weekend in Chicago. Last weekend was Baltimore. Next weekend is New York. And he's doing some wonderful, amazing things. I'm proud of who he turned out to be in his latter years.
That's awesome. And that's one thing that I love about watching James fight is the passion that he brings, right? He brings it when he's on the side of the ring in a team fight. He brings it when he's in the ring fighting. And that's something that, as a fan of the sport, I love to see that. And then, to hear how great of a guy he is, of course.
Yeah,
right?
so James, I got a satellite program in my old neighborhood where I grew up, and James is running it. And so his training schedule is broken up a little, and he'll come into the dojo on himself, by himself, and train. So he's one of those self-motivated people too. He got his eye on the prize, and that James is dangerous.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. So now, next on the list, D Stacks.
D Stacks, out the whole group probably got the less time in, but that's just due to his passion, his focus, his awareness, his refuse to lose, that he climbed up the ranks pretty faster than everybody else. Gym rat, doesn't matter. I put up a post years ago when he was an underbelt. It was a big snowstorm. He was the only one that came to class. And of course we still trained, and we did what we normally do. He is through the whole quarantine, he trained. This kid took no break since he started. I mean, you're not gonna find a harder worker than Darren Payne. I take him to sometimes after a full class, he'll say, "Coach, can you drop me off at the gym?" And he's going to pump iron after a full class. Everybody saw. If mornings is available, hey, Coach, you available in the morning? I already told him, if y'all want extra, just call me. If I'm available, I'll be there. And that's him. This kid is so locked in and focused. Not just, and he does the stuff that you want out of your child, out of your students. It's not just on the karate side, it's on the school side. This kid got straight A's. This kid got offers to different colleges. I mean, D Stacks is the real deal in general, overall. And that's a scary dude to motivate. But you don't have to motivate him. It's built in him.
And I love hearing that behind the scenes about him. And, it shows when he's in the ring. One thing that I think I was sitting next to, who was it? It was either Steve Babcock or Chris Rappold, one of the two. And we were watching him fight at Ocean States. And we looked at each other and we were like, it's just so smooth. His game is so smooth. He's got such a great understanding of distance, timing. So I want to bring up a specific moment, right? Because I want to get inside the mind of the coach here while we're talking about D Stacks. Because D Stacks just had his biggest career win thus far, going and getting that Warrior Cup in Chicago back in January, right? Fighting one of the best heavyweights in the world in Cameron Dawson, right? So put us in the coach's chair, right? You're sitting there and you're in the second round, and he's got a lead, right? And he's trying to hang on and beat Cam, who obviously is one of the top fighters there is. Tell us what that moment's like for you, sitting there watching it all unfold.
Oh man, I was biting my nails. But I know D. I know he wasn't gonna quit on it. I had to talk with him before. Because I don't know if you know, Cam is his favorite fighter, and he talks to Cam a lot and things of that nature. So, I was worried that maybe sometimes when you fight your idol, you don't give everything because it's your idol. Or some people go the opposite direction. They give everything and they want to make their mark like I'm here. So I got in his head before the fight, and I told him, like, yo, look, I know who he is. I know what he is, but not today. I need everything from you and things of that nature. And he went out there and he knew Cam would not want anything less. He knew Cam wouldn't want anything less. But yeah, man, it was a beautiful thing to watch. And deep down, I had a feeling that Darren was going to pull it out because the kid works too hard. He works too hard. Though if I'm closing him, I'm leaving. Can you leave the key with me? He works too hard to have lost that on that big of a stage.
That's awesome. So
yeah.
Now I saved this one for last for a reason. We're gonna do this name association one more round here. Tyson Ray.
Yeah, Tyson Ray, man, officially started when he was 3. Technically started out the womb. Yeah, well, we didn't get him on the floor till he was 3, but he was doing everything behind the scenes before that. As soon as he came out, we stretching him and things of that nature. But yeah, he's another special kid. He did not stop during quarantine. Him and Darren are very tight. They push each other. They're very competitive. Darren, James, and Darren, James, and Tyson now, it's a trifecta. But Darren and Tyson, to be more specific, because those guys were, this same age, they hung out and things of that nature and stuff like that. But yeah, so what people don't know is Tyson also played basketball, right? He was in juniors, he did weapons, arms, and fighting. He did all 3, every tournament. He was good at all of them. When you get to black belt, I think that's a gut check with the weapons and forms. So they started doing the weapons, and then they're like, man, listen, these 5th, 6th, let me focus on my fight.
Now, hey, give D Stacks some credit. D Stacks won an Underbelt Warrior Cup several years ago. Right?
He did. D Stacks got an Underbelt Warrior Cup. Honestly, D Stacks, again, he's very passionate. I think he still can do something in the traditional division. I really do. He just will have to set out some extra time for the forms, which they don't want to because they're greedy with this fighting thing now. Right. But again, Tyson his mind is just different. The way he sees the fight, the way he attacks it, the way he does remind me of being calm, not panic, not scared of the moment, not scared to be the closer, take the shot with 0 seconds left. He definitely reminds me of me with that attitude. But he's a brilliant kid that has a great fighting mind. And he works really hard. He's really passionate. We laugh at him a lot because he got like old man tactics. Like you see him, he's always like, on the floor. And, I'm tired and sitting. But when it's time to work or it's time to take care of business, man, this kid is a monster. And he does not like to lose. He does not like to lose. He's one of the smartest fighters that I've ever seen. His IQ is different. I remember he first fought Jason Latona. All right, Tyson was a brown belt, but I let him put him in black belt, whatever. I think he started black belt division, and he lost to him 2 times in the regular division and open weight. And I was like, okay, everybody's like, oh, this kid got his number and this and that. I'm like, yo, listen, relax, relax. And then from there, you started putting it in order. All right, so and that's the kind of fighter he is. You may get him once, you may get him twice. He's gonna figure it out, and then that's gonna be it. Enrique was the same thing. Enrique got him twice. Everybody started panicking. Oh, he got his number. Relax, relax, relax. Tyson just got him in Rhode Island, and it wasn't even close. So that's him, man. High IQ fighter, brilliant mind, hard worker, and that's Tyson. Tyson and Darren are funny kids. Darren is another one that imitates a lot of people. I call him the hyena because he's always laughing. He's that kid in class where somebody may pass gas or something. He's like this. Darren, give me 50 push-ups. He's one of those kids, man. Always laughing. And Tyson is a big jokester himself. Definitely basketball-friendly kid. Yeah. About him, he's a comedian.
Beautifully said. I mean, that was like exactly what I was looking for, is to get a little bit of like who these guys are as people. And over time, we got to get all these guys on the show too.
People think we the mean kids, man. They thought I was mean when I was coming up. That's just a zone when we go into tournaments. It's not. They definitely don't want to talk to everybody sometimes. They want to stay in their corner and take care of business. Like I always tell them, it's a business trip. People sometimes talk to you, try to butter you up. Hey Jackson, what do you think about this? And you're like, yo, I'll talk to you later. You gotta stay in your zone. So they're similar to me in that way.
Very cool. So now, talking about being in the zone, right? I want to move on to talking about the virtual fight tour, because this has been, especially in the pandemic, it like saved sport karate in some ways, right? It was something that everybody could look forward to, and it was really the first thing that kind of brought sport karate back. And then even now, as we come out of the pandemic, or I guess hopefully, I don't know, come out of the pandemic,
right.
Whatever position we're in, Virtual Fight Tour is continuing to put out great events, great matchups, changing the game in the way you guys put the events together. So where did the idea come from? Because it's such a brilliant concept. What's the origin story?
All right, so the origin, shout out to Jean Claude. I was doing my 7th seminar series. I don't know if you peeped that. Where I had Jody one week, Raymond the next week, Jack the next week, Elijah one week. I had Gakuji one week and Joey Castro the next week. So this pandemic, and those things were doing numbers. They were doing numbers. Like first seminar, Jody did 100, Raymond did 80 something. I think Jack, Elijah did like 60. So we was pumping numbers. So we got a lot of steam on that, and then I started doing the women. Then I started doing the juniors, and then I started doing everybody. Right. So what happened was I got people were looking forward to like, what's next? What are we doing next? What are we doing next? And then I got a call from my friend. We were just talking, just kicking it. And he was like, yeah, you're doing your thing. You got a lot of traction and whatever. And then he was like, yo, what if you could do something at my school and do like a team fighting thing or whatever. And he had all these special rules and stuff. Like, yeah, maybe we could do this kicks and you got to go out of this punches. And I was like, I'm like, yo, whoa. Yo, it's COVID. Like, you're crazy. Like, nobody could touch each other. And then that, him saying that and making that call to me, it lit up a light bulb. And I'm like, wait, whatever. And I told him, like, yo, look, I think we could do something. I'll call you tomorrow. We'll talk about it. And then it just hit me. And I'm like, whoa, what we could do is boxing is still going on. UFC is still going on. We could find a way to make it safe where we won't have any spectators, have everybody test, and get everybody in, and because nobody's doing any contact. I threw an online tournament, a virtual tournament, and the fighting part was making everybody do a drill. Do a kick, drill, punch, reverse punch, back. And whoever does it the cleanest, the best, the fastest, or whatever, how many they could do in 1 minute. So that's where the ideas came from. Then I start reaching out to some of my guys, of course, and then people near, like, close states near me. So there's the Bailey, the Tyreek, Darren, of course, my guys, or whatever. And they was like, yo, that sounds good. I'm down. All right. And then after I spoke to Josh about it, he was like, yo, we could get Ryan George probably in there or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we can do it I asked him, could we do it in Georgia? So I don't know if you remember, Virtual Fight 201. We shot it over to Atlanta.
Double overtime, yeah.
Right, it was Kevin and Ryan. So that was a big hit, and that was the birth of Virtual Fight Tour. Just a phone call from Gene, and then that got the brain juice going, and here we are today, still pumping it out.
Awesome. And so now I want to have a little bit of fun with this, right? Because thinking back through all of the great cards you guys have had, that double overtime fight with Kevin Walker and Ryan George is up there for me. But for you, as the promoter, as the commissioner, right? What is your favorite fight that you've seen in Virtual Fight Tour?
My favorite fight in VFT? That's a very, 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 very good question.
By the way, those of you tuning in, drop your favorite VFT matchup in the comments if you've been tuning in.
Yeah, drop them in the comments, man, because, man, that was definitely one of the top. I like Jack and Bailey. Mm-hmm. Jack and Bailey was a tough one. I'm gonna even go off the rip with Mike Lettieri and Justin Floyd. That comeback was crazy. Like, we all thought that was over, and that was crazy. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that, man. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I got a lot of favorite fights. I can tell you what my favorite VFT was.
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
A favorite VFT was the draft.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Just the whole process of drafting. We got Plowden and Jotty talking smack with all of that, and just the format. A whole group over here with these colors, a whole group over here with these colors. Ladies and men, juniors and adults. That was one of my favorite. A second favorite might shock you. Team Next Level versus the All Stars. Yes, Tamika. That's Darren's mom right there.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I know you guys are going to be a fan of that matchup, right?
Yeah, of course.
That went well for you guys.
Yep. Another good one for me was the Forums Tour. Yeah. Man, that was so dope, and that was we got to debut Jackson's colorful commentary, and whoa, that was an awesome show to me too. We got Ali from Turkey that competed on that. So yeah, that one right is dear to my heart. Sorry guys, I haven't brought that back yet, but I haven't forgot about you. That was a dope show to me.
Awesome. And I got to give you a big thank you, because that was the event that kind of like gave
everybody booked you.
Yeah, that was
everybody booked you. Well, listen, hold on. all your boys from that show stepped up. Paul Mitchell, who we got? Dustin Hall,
Ben Esteban
Ben
Dawson.
Jones.
It was the clash of teammates, and so they all found the Paul
They
Mitchell.
all transitioned, and yeah, that was a dope show, man. You, Jeff was awesome with that as well.
Absolutely. Tons of fun. Maybe we got to bring some of those matchups back. Maybe we do the Clash of Teammates Part 2, but now they're wearing different colors. Who knows, right? Anyway, so now I know we got some other fun VFT stuff to talk about. Oh, we talked about stuff that's already happened. Are there any VFT matchups? And this doesn't have to be anything that's being officially talked about or anything like that. What's just like a dream VFT matchup, one fight, one matchup that you would love to make happen?
A dream VFT. I would like to see Bailey and Elijah on VFT in the cage. You know, they got a little history from Worlds and things. That was a good fight. Yeah, that would be one of my dope fights. Even maybe Tyson and Elijah. Tyson actually had some success against him in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
That was good. I would like to see some of the overseas guys match up with some of the U.S. guys, but I can't tell you everything because I'm working on some stuff, so I don't want to give it up, man. But yeah, be prepared.
We'll leave it at that, but I'm certainly hopeful that we'll get some of those matchups too. Now, one of my favorite things that VFT has done, I love the draft. I love all the matchups. I've loved every card that I've watched. One of my absolute favorite things is y'all bringing back the true overall grand championship with the VFT last man standing, the lightweight grand champion against the heavyweight grand champion. Tell us a little bit about that, and why is that so important? Because, like, to me, that's got to happen. Like, I want that at every NASCAR tournament, right? So now tell us a little bit about it and why you feel it's so important too.
Number one, it's so important because you know that's how I came up, and I know everything evolves, but the fans want to see the real last man standing, last woman standing, the last person standing. The fans want to see that. They want to see there's matchups that people never see. You don't get to see the lightweight versus the heavyweight anymore, in diamonds and things of that nature. I understand that the way things are structured is to spread more equality, maybe in money or whatever the reason is. But the true fans, we want to see who is the person that's going to leave this tournament unbeaten. And that is the true overall, in my opinion. So that's why it was important for me to pitch it and see who bid on it. They liked the idea. VFT has Steam through the pandemic, so that helped out. And they gave me a shot. So far, we did it. First one I did was at Amerikick. We got to see Bailey and Avery, right? Was that Amerikick or was that?
Diamonds is when we got Avery and Bailey.
No, right, correct. So let's go to Diamonds. Well, we did Amerikick. Then Amerikick, I kicked it off. Diamonds, we got Avery and Bailey. The only time other than that you may see them is open weight, and that's a one rounder. We're talking about 3 rounds, 2 minutes, gut check. All right, so and that's where you really know who's the true champion. So so far we have did Amerikick, Diamonds, Rhode Island, Ocean State, and Miami, Pan Ams. So we're looking to have this in every nighttime show if they will have us. We're not going to be able to do it in Atlanta battle this year, but they're not against it. So we'll talk more about it, and in the future you may see Last Man Standing at the Battle of Atlanta.
That's awesome. And like I said already, I hope that we see it at every NASCAR tournament because I think it's awesome. It's the point fighting that I grew up watching, right? I remember watching that every tournament. You got the David versus Goliath. And in point fighting, right, it's not like for our black belt audience that maybe doesn't watch as much point fighting, right? It's not like a full contact sport where it's this super unfair advantage. Point fighting is a speed sport. Like the lightweight, some people would argue, lightweights would argue, sometimes have the advantage over the heavyweight, right? You know what I mean? You might be given that reach, but I mean, from a speed and agility standpoint, the lightweights have that advantage. And so it's such an interesting chess match to watch, and that's why I love it. And it doesn't surprise me at all that you were the guy to bring something like that back, because before VFT, I mean, you've got plenty of experience as a promoter yourself, right? Co-promoter of the Twin Towers Classic. Now you got King of New York. You mentioned a long history of King of New York. So I want to give you a chance. Just talk a little bit about your experience as a promoter and give everybody a shout out for that tournament up in New York there.
Absolutely. So, yeah, like you said, I was, for people that don't know, I was the co-promoter for Twin Towers for many years, probably from like 2007 and probably until a year before Twin Towers was dead. It prepared me for this. I lost a lot of money with Lee Arlen, the Twin Towers, but the experience is unvaluable. You can't put a value on that. It was a NASCAR event. It was on the world tour. So I got to experience when something could go wrong, it will go wrong. I got all the behind the scenes hiccups, trying to stay on schedule, dealing with spectators, dealing with competitors. I got to experience all of those things under Lee Arlen. So that really helped me to be a type of promoter that I wanted to be in the future. From there, Lee Arlen, he was doing things different, and I was losing too much money with him. So I said, Lee, thank you, but I'm out. I helped him out the next year, but I wasn't part of it. And then that's the year the tournament crashed. A bunch of people didn't get paid. Bunch of people didn't get paid at the end. The hotel security came in and shut the event down before the finals was even over. So I said, I'm doing my own thing. I'm out of here. I took that year off. Again, disattached my name from it. And then I came up with the King of New York. I did the King of New York in 2004. As I said earlier, right after my accident, but I never did it again. So I just decided to bring it back. And here we are, man. We're going to, of course, we didn't have it during COVID, but I'm bringing it back this year, September 24th. So this is what's going to happen. Put up or shut up. VFT is going to be on Friday. King of New York is going to be that Saturday. So if you're in town, you can go check VFT. Then you can head over to the tournament on Saturday and compete.
That's awesome. So, hey, anybody tuning in, if you're anywhere near New York, you got to make that happen, right? If you love point fighting and you got a chance to see a VFT, and then I presume if they're going to be fighting at VFT, you're going to get a lot of that same talent fighting in King of New York.
Next day. Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, like, you got to go see that. So spectators and competitors, that's one of the great things about sport karate. Obviously, you're not just going to walk into VFT and fight, but you can go and register for King of New York and you can fight against truly some of the best point fighters in the world. And that's one of the things I love so much about sport karate is that it's not like other professional sports where the top of the top has this strict separation from the fans and from other aspiring amateur athletes. In sport karate, show up. You can say hi, shake their hand. You can compete against them, and you'll have the opportunity to do that at a tournament like King of New York.
Yeah, you could bow in, and your first fight could be Raymond Daniels. Whoa! Body tension, right off the bow. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a pretty exciting thing. Again, lock that date in, September 23rd, VFT. And then Saturday, King of New York, 24th.
That's awesome. Well, Jesse, this has been, I say my verbal crutch is that's awesome, but it's because I hear so many awesome things on this show, right? And
Right.
Everything tonight from your competitive career, coaching, promoting, it's all been absolutely golden. So thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom. So now, closing thoughts, and this is your chance. You want to give us one last promo for VFT Put Up or Shut Up, which I am pumped to watch. Send us off.
VFT Put Up or Shut Up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me give you some game. Put Up or Shut Up is not me calling anybody out, not me trying to shame anybody or saying my squad is better than anybody. A lot of times we complain about prize money and things of that nature. So this is our opportunity for us to control us. I'm going to put up $1,000 for my squad. Anybody wants to jump in, put your $1,000 up, and then you can register, and then your team will be in. So, for example, I put up 1,000. All Stars put up 1,000. Team Diamond put up 1,000. Team Legend put up 1,000. Any other team, Paul Mitchell. All right, so we can get this pot up to $10, $15, $20, $30,000. It's possible. Depends on how many teams put their money in the pot. What does that look like for you? A lot of money that you don't have to complain about. And what we also can do, and I'm not against it, is we can do a pot for first, have something for second, maybe something for 2/3, so nobody feels slighted, and it's worth the risk, if you call. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be streamed. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be. This is gonna be a historical event. It's gonna happen. I don't care if we got 2 teams. We're gonna do it because it's the right thing to do. And we got to start by example. And the only way we could do it is by moving forward and doing it. Put your team in. Everybody has a chance. You always have a chance. Anything can happen. If you want to know the rule set, reach out to me, because the rules is not just a normal sport karate tournament rules. The rules are a little different, and that makes it very, very interesting.
I cannot wait. That's going to be awesome. You're doing it for the
you,
right
Jackson.
You're doing the right thing. It's going to be huge. I cannot wait to see those matchups. And that brings us to our hashtag JRP challenge for this week, which I promised you guys at the beginning of the show. I'd give you another challenge if you want to be on the next episode. We might not feature a winner on episode 100, but there's a chance. So still do it. And if you're not featured in episode 100, we'll put you in episode 101. Like I said, I got some special things planned for episode 100. So stay tuned for more information on that. But since we talked so much point fighting in this episode, your JRP challenge for this week, all you got to do, hop on social media, preferably Facebook, because that's where it's easiest for me to see it. Give me your top 3 favorite point fighters in the game right now. Doesn't have to be in any order, or you can put it in order if you want to. But give me your top 3 favorite point fighters in the game right now. That's all you got to do for the hashtag JRP challenge this week. And if enough people submit, I'll pick maybe the top 2 or 3 that I think are good picks, and I'll throw them up there and give you guys a shout out, as well as give those fighters a shout out too. So this has been episode 99 of the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. We had the man himself, Jessie Wray, on the show tonight. One more time, thank you for representing. VFT's got the hoodie on. Definitely anybody tuning into this show, make sure you stay tuned for all the news and updates on the virtual fight tour. We run all that press through Black Belt Magazine. So be on the lookout for more information about VFT Put Up or Shut Up. And make sure you guys sign up for that pay-per-view, because that is going to be an absolutely amazing event. And big thank you to everybody tuning in tonight. We couldn't do this show if it wasn't for your support. And thank you to our sponsor, Black Belt Magazine. This has been episode 99 of the Jackson Rudolph Podcast, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for the opportunity. Peace.